Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And it's Friday here in Australia, in Melbourne. Yeah, it's Melbourne. Do I live in Melbourne? I don't know anymore. We've got a really cool artist again, as usual, on the show this week, Thomas Christ. And we're going to kick off with some music from his new recording. Here we go. Yeah. Right the fuck about now. Right about now. Oh, yeah. What's going on, folks? Whoops. Professional. Hey, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the show. It's Friday, and we have another cool interview over here on How to App on iOS. If you are watching over there on Facebook and it's really boring over there in that dull, horrible social media place, you can join us over here on YouTube at youtube.com/Jade Starr, or you can just chat there and we can see it over here at the party zone over here at How to App on iOS, or you can also go to howtoapponIOS.com and you can catch the show there live daily and check up on all the other videos and apps and all that other stuff, playlists and cool stuff. Yeah. So today we finally have one of my good friends, a very creative, a very talented, and very, I don't know, button pushing kind of musician. I love it. Yes, the swear jar is gone, doctor's orders. And straight away we've destroyed the swear jar. Hang on. Yeah, whatever. But I have one of my favourite artists here today who is a button pusher. And I think he always has been, and I love that about him. So if you would like to put your hands together without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today the one and only Thomas Christ. How are you today, Thomas?
I am great. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I think we've both had about the same amount of hours sleep.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Not much sleep when you're a creator. You got to just work.
4 hours sleep keeps the doctor away, or something like that. Who knows? It is a box of washers. Russ, you've blown it for me. It's not a swear jar. I haven't had time to get one yet. That's totally ruined. All right, so let's jump straight in. Let's ask you straight away. Are you a button pusher?
Okay. Yeah, I guess a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I don't think of it as much as that's part of it, but it's definitely, I have probably a little bit of shock rock in me. That's kind of where it comes from a little bit. But I just like to, like you like to get at the truth. I like to get at the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to BS. I like to just, say this is how it is. And
is anarchist a better term?
That's kind of what drives
anarchist me. A better term?
What's that? Anarchist?
A musical anarchist.
A musical anarchist. Yeah, I described myself. I think in a song, I described myself as a musical terrorist.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. I've done that before.
I know. I know.
I've done that before, and
metaphorically, absolute metaphorically.
Yeah, look, it didn't work out good for me when I did that.
Oh man.
Especially after 9/11, everything was bad after that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even after because one of the things was my first album got me in trouble at school because it came out right after Columbine High School, and it had a line in it about "We bring to school our knives and our guns." So that didn't necessarily play very well. Now, I don't remember if that was actually written before or after 9/11. I think it was written before, and I just released it afterwards because it was right around that time. But, that didn't play very well with the school officials.
So how did that go down? They called you into the office. How did that? Let's go through the process.
Well, there was a student in one of the classes who bought my album, but then he ratted on me to the substitute teacher that was in, I think, for an art class.
Oh man.
And the substitute teacher was the one that took it to the principal and vice principal. So
in all the classes, of all the classes for it to happen as well, art.
Art class,
which is supposed to be the free thinking class of all schools, but no.
Right. No, not well. I mean, I went to Catholic school too, so you have to underpin it with that.
Not as free thinking.
No. Not quite. Although, I'll give my high school credit. It was more of a progressive Catholic high school, at least at the time, compared to what you see in a lot of places. I mean, they taught us about conception. First of all, I learned a lot about Buddhism from a class there.
That is progressive.
So they taught us about world religions, and there was one teacher there who taught us about loving God in a way that was almost sexual, which was kind of weird. But
yeah, a little bit weird.
he was strange.
Weird, but not shocking.
Right.
I was talking to somebody the other day on a post saying, "Isn't it weird the world we live in at the moment?" And I think religion's going to come up in this, obviously because of the name that you've chosen as an artist. But isn't it the world we live in at the moment, where the Satanic Church has people out cleaning needles off beaches and feeding the homeless, and meanwhile the religious people are condemning trans people to hell, and everything's backwards.
Well, that's something I was just talking about with my wife recently, is that basically modern conservatism is a lot like the LaVeyan Satanism. There's not much difference. It's about me first. You know, you're not important. It's just about me. There's a lot of selfishness in the world, and it really bothers me that it's like that. And it unfortunately it comes from people who profess to believe in something that's completely contrary to that.
Yeah, and these people too are the ones telling us all that we're being deceived.
Right. Exactly.
And, how do you get through to somebody like that? Maybe with music. And speaking of music, because that's what this is about, what does music mean to you, Thomas?
Music just means it's almost like the ultimate form of expression. I mean, I guess you have the visual arts, which are an equivalent to music, but it's the way that we express ourselves through sound. So we can take sounds and they can be any type of sounds, and they can be ordered or disordered, but through that we express ourselves and who we are to the world. So that's what I think music means.
Excellent. And how does music help you cope in today's world?
Oh, it helps me immensely. I mean, that's why there's a lot of aggression in my music, and I take out that aggression in the music so I don't do it in the real world. Or I'm not even tempted to do it in the real world, you know, because you need an outlet for that stuff. And some people's outlet is creating angry music, and then some people's outlet is doing things that are destructive. So, and we see a lot of that in the world today. So wouldn't it be great if all those people who were so pissed off channeled that aggression and anger and sorrow and distress into music instead of into horrible acts of violence and things like that?
For sure. See, I use GTA for that. I don't think that's very healthy as well, but I haven't murdered anybody yet.
That's a topic for debate.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, video games get a bad rap too. You know, I mean, you can remember back in after Columbine happened, when musicians and artists and video games got blamed by the media for all this violence that was starting to happen then, and unfortunately continuing until today.
Yeah, that was led by Tipper Gore and Al Gore, and the irony of all of that was, Al Gore went on to become a big spokesperson for the environment and kindness and all this kind of stuff, and doing something to benefit people, but at the same time, all the way back then, they were trying to take music away from people, which was unbelievable. Like,
it's ridiculous. But Al Gore is a frustrating person, because I also am into politics too, and probably not surprisingly by anybody that's listened to my music, but Al Gore used to be very establishment, and he used to be a very conservative Democrat, and then I don't know, he kind of had an awakening or changed. Maybe he saw how bad climate change was getting, and now he's a lot more of a progressive than he was. I don't know if he's as progressive as, you know, some people like me would like him to be, but he's definitely not where he used to be.
Yeah, what was their group called? Was it the PMRC?
PMRC, that's it.
The acronym, I forget what that stood for. Pieces of shit or something. No, there's no S in it. What am I saying? But yeah, then they had court cases as well too. So, and who spoke?
This went on for a long time too, because I remember
Sister D. Snyder.
D. Snyder.
Yeah, there's quite a few big name artists who spoke. I can't remember all of them, but and that was the thing. They put warning stickers on all of these albums, and I remember it even hit us here in Australia. I went to my little metal shop that I used to go and get all my imported albums back then on CD, and the day I went in there, the customs came in and they removed from the shelf Cannibal Corpse, Eaten Alive, Pungent Stench, Bing Corp Buttering. It was the album with two corpses kissing, and they said that was homosexual necrotic. The homosexual corpses just wasn't allowed. And then they just removed Carcass albums, and it was like, what the hell? These albums were available, like they always have been. And eventually, it only took probably a few months, and they were back on the shelves. Oh, and they put little black pieces of cardboard on the front, as soon as you buy it.
Well, we got the parental advisories, which just made it that those albums sold the most, because people wanted them.
I remember Body Count was one of the albums that got hit really hard at the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they released that song Cop Killer. That was the one that caused a lot of trouble, because lyrics like that are bound to But you know, I mean, there's probably a message behind it. I don't remember that song in particular, but like listening to it, but I'm sure there was a positive message behind it.
Yeah, Body Count wasn't very memorable. Let's be honest. You know, I remember them coming out.
But you look at the police violence that's happening today, and it's like, yeah, you know, maybe there's a reason why they felt that way.
Well, I'm pretty sure Body Count actually released a new album recently. God, yeah,
really?
So they're back. So Ice-T back doing metal.
Ice-T is great. He's great on Twitter.
Yeah, he's great in a lot of places, you know. So I think he jumped on the wagon with so it was Anthrax who was mixing metal and rap, and then Ice-T got involved, did Body Count. But they are still playing, so that's... and Gary Hub says they just did a Slayer cover, which reminds me, we should say hello to people in the chat because I normally wait a little while.
Yes.
And so let's run through some call-outs. Cold Acre, welcome aboard. SM Borthwick. Who else do we have? Ed, Nina, Desolate Morning. I can see you there in the chat, so welcome aboard, Tom. Thanks for being here in the chat as well.
Oh, yeah.
Scrolling up.
Wouldn't miss it.
So we've got Doctor's Orders. Andy Goldsby, Russ is here as well. Scrolling down, Danny Broderick, Pete Johns. Thank you for being here, Pete. Fantastic admins. Patrick Chandler. Who else as we scroll? Bubba! Hello, Bubba. How are you? I sent you a message on Patreon, Bubba, as well last night. Deep Gravity. Hi, Cam. How you going? Scrolling. I love this. Sion, hello. Good to see you too. I mentioned Gary Hubbs already. Jeff Brush, Guzzo of Oz. Oh, I fucked that up. Oh, man, swearing again. I think we're Lady Rodaline, hello. Scrolling, so I'm doing this as fast as I can. Rock Hard Music. If I've missed you along here, just shout towards the bottom and I'll catch up with you. But I've nearly captured everybody. So
it gets getting harder than it used to be.
I know.
There's so many people now. I'd say hello to everybody and my thumbs hurt after.
Yeah, it is a bit like that. Remember, it was only like 6 months ago when we started this channel, Tom, and you've been here from the beginning. So, you know, I thank you very much for all your support here too. You're one of the early adopters of the channel. And it was just like 6 of us here each morning, you know.
Yeah.
Why, how things change in 6 months. So,
but it's been amazing to watch. It really has.
It's been really fun. You know, no expectations. We're talking about, you know, YouTube channels. In fact, let's just jump to that too. I'm not going to follow a formula today because formulaic stuff gets very boring. So you're now kicking off a YouTube channel experience. How has this been for you so far? Like being a part of, you know, Pete's channel and being a part of a community in this channel, and how's that going with you? Like growing your channel and kicking that off the ground.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been fantastic. It was surprisingly, like, along the way, like, I always thought, well, doing stuff like that, I think, you know, from years ago, I wanted to start a YouTube channel. And I didn't know what am I going to do a YouTube channel about? And I thought, well, I could do one on, like, art. I could do one that's just, like, me and my wife talking and bullshitting and joking around and stuff. And then, like, but, you know, it probably comes back to, yeah, I should do music. That probably makes the most sense. You know, and then I should mention how I came across Pete Johns, and the reason I came across Pete Johns was because I started messing around on my iPhone and iPad with GarageBand, and I started to think, like, you could probably produce some real music on here. And I'm like, I wonder if anybody's done it. So I just looked up, has anyone made an album on their iPhone or their iPad in iOS? And I was kind of thinking, like, maybe it'll be somebody famous or something, but it wasn't. But I found Pete Johns, and I was like, this guy, he's got like a whole video, like series of videos documenting the whole process from start to finish of him producing an album and releasing it on his iPhone. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And I just got really like sucked into it. I watched for a long time, and probably 6-8 months, maybe a year, without ever engaging with the channel more than just watching it. And then I think soon, you know, not quite when the pandemic hit, but a little before that, I started just kind of chatting in the chat and talking to folks, and it was really cool. And then it's just kind of gone from there to like, hey, I think I can do this in my own way. And I think I have a unique niche because there's really not much content out there that's geared around industrial music. Now, industrial music is not the most popular thing in the world. I'll grant you that. But things come around full circle eventually. Like you see a lot of people now making like 80s music and some 90s alternative, like grunge inspired stuff. So the 90s industrial was huge, and it's going to come back at some point. And I hope to be there when it does. Because I think it's going to be big again.
I think it's still there. I think
it's always been there. But I mean, in a bigger way than what it's been.
I think like with anything hard edge, like, you know, it goes through these transformations. Like, you know, metal's had that low point for a while as soon as it became new metal. And it went through that.
Now, I have a confession to make. I used to like new metal. I'm kind of a fan of some of it. I think it got a bad rap.
Some of it's fine, you know, but I think for me, you know, it's I'm not trying to shit all over it. I think when you're coming from a background of extreme metal and that kind of thing, and because, you know, metal's like disco. Most music genres are like disco. It always comes back to disco. It goes around in a 20-year cycle and just revolves around and round. And people forget and they go like, no, it's not like that old disco. But it is. It just comes back around every 20 years. And metal's the same thing. Metal went through that whole, you know, Metallica, then it got to death metal, then it got to grindcore, then it got to black metal. And then the black metal had cellos and dancing elves, and it was all just so ridiculous that it became new metal, and then it went back to the beginning again, and that's the way it works. And I think it's the same with, you know, industrial. First industrial band I remember getting into was Godflesh. Jeez, and they're still going too.
Yeah, I remember them. They were good.
What kind of music was played in your house growing up?
In my house growing up, I think this came up recently. I don't know if it was on your show or one of Pete's shows, but it was my father, who unfortunately passed away last summer. He listened to Irish music and like oldies, like the real oldies from like the 50s. And then I don't know, my mom kind of just listened to whatever was on. Like she didn't really have anything in particular that she liked too much. So I guess it was just that, you know, she likes polka because she was Polish, and I grew up in that kind of, well, actually not Polish, but Slovak, but it's similar. So she liked that kind of, you know, oompa, you know.
I love polka music. It's one of the main sources of Mr. Bungle. So I could never shit on it.
Yeah.
You know? I like all types of music.
But, you know, you go to all the weddings and everything, and they play all the polka. You have to dance the polkas and everything at the Slovak weddings. Yeah, right. So, yeah.
Do you think that music has had any influence on your direction of music?
I mean, it's possible. I know there was a tape of, like, my dad also listened to a little bit of folk music. So there was a folk 60s tape that I played till it wore out. So that was one, and there was the tape of like 50s music with like Blue Moon and stuff on it. I used to listen to that. That was probably like the first thing that I actually like listened to intentionally.
Cool. Do you recall what your first album was that you were either given, gifted, found, or purchased?
Well, the first one that I would have been interested in, kind of embarrassingly, was probably Vanilla Ice's To the Extreme.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I was into rap music before I got into like rock and metal for a little while there, from like 4th grade to 6th grade. So like maybe like 9 or 10 to like 12 or so, I was into rap. So I listened to MC Hammer, I listened to Vanilla Ice, and then I picked up Criss Cross.
Wow, even Criss Cross.
You know, the little kids.
Warm it up,
rap.
Chris. I'm about to.
But I had their second album. Nobody had their second album. Their second album was a lot better than their first album. The Bomb. It was called The Bomb.
I remember that album. my sister had that album.
But it was like when they went like West Coast gangsta.
Yeah. They had all the. Were they the first? Were they the first people to have like the shaved nicks in their eyebrows?
Well, I think Vanilla Ice
right,
actually
so they
had
ripped
that.
Off him.
Why? Well, yeah, I think there was a lot of rappers at the time.
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
That.
Well, in all genres of music, you know, that what's original these days? Oh, forever, you know.
And that probably came from like punk rock, really.
Yeah.
Because the punk rockers were doing stuff like that with their hair and eyebrows and, you know, just whatever you could do to look different or look unique, that's what they would do. So I'm sure that had an influence too.
Yeah, because every genre and group of music, no matter what it is, still has those fan bases of people that are like, you know, this is my music. You can't rip, or when their favorite band changes, their class is selling out, and it's like, oh my God, you sold out. Yeah, how can you change like this? So I find that really interesting too, because growing up as a metalhead, I always thought that was very exclusive to metal, that kind of attitude, where like, you know, Metallica suck now because they've sold out. But that happens in all styles, like it's hip hop to country music. It's amazing how that works.
Yeah. No, it's all kinds of music where there's perceived to be sellouts or just people want to make money. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is as soon as you release something, even if it's a sticker as a band, you've sold out.
Yeah, well, there's an ethos in the punk rock community. Like everybody hated Green Day because they got big, but it was like if you got big, that was like the ultimate crime. You weren't supposed to get big. You were supposed to stay underground. But like these people want to like try to eat. Maybe I don't know.
Damn you to hell for wanting.
I think there's some like jealousy that was involved in some of that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because believe me, if one of those other bands had the opportunity, they would have taken it.
Yeah. Of course, and you know, let's be honest with music and art, with any kind of creative outlet, it's not always you. Well, it's rarely you that makes you big. It's other people who just catch and you catch on fire. So it's the people buying your stuff that make you sell out. I guess make you sell albums. It's a weird dynamic, isn't it, when artists get critiqued for like, oh my God, you're selling albums, you suck now. It's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, it's on one level that's what you want, but then there's people that don't want you to do that.
They only want to buy your album, and if anyone else buys it, it's like, no.
Yeah. And those people that talk shit on Green Day, they bought the Green Day album.
Exactly.
They bought Dookie.
They contributed to the selling out. I love it. I'll just say a few other people coming to chat. Hey, I'm so sorry, Scott, that I missed out on you there. I was scrolling through so quickly. It's not that I was forgetting you or anything like that. A Pain to Get is here. Synth Widow, hi Joe, how you going? Stu Cash has popped in as well. I'm trying to make sure I catch everyone. Kim Harden Hudson is here as well too. Kim says, I loved Criss Cross as a kid. And there's...
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
There's no shame in that. So,
at least I didn't wear my clothes backwards. I didn't go that far.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
That was their thing, is wearing the clothes backwards. I don't know why, but I guess it was just something unique that they could do to indicate, you know, differentiate themselves from other rap groups at the time.
Have you ever seen a film? And if anybody else in the chat has seen this, it's one of my favorite films. It's based on the same script as Spinal Tap. NWH, Fear of a Black Hat. Oh my God.
I don't remember it very well, but I know it was on like Comedy Central at one point, funny. Like in the late 90s. Yeah, it was hilarious.
They take the piss out of all the rappers of the time. So Vanilla Ice is called Vanilla Sherbet. And the song's like "Come and Pet the Pussy," and it's just like ridiculous songs. But there's a scene in it where the lead character says, "Here's a photo of my kids," and he's got a photo of the kids, and he's like, "We're not like my kids aren't like Criss Cross. They're like they wear the clothes upside down, and they got the pants on the head and the shirts on their feet instead of backwards." Oh man. That film is good.
Great.
If you haven't seen it, it's called NWH, Fear of a Black Hat. I can't say the full title because it's got the magic N-word in it, and that is not nice.
I need to look that up and watch it again.
It's damn fine. I only watched it about a month ago. It's heaps funny. So, what was your first instrument? What got you playing music? Was it school? How did you actually want to make music?
Well, this is where things are going to get very shocking and surprising to people, because I'm full of surprises. My first instrument was the organ, like
Sexy.
as in like the church
Sexy.
organ. And actually up until a month ago, I was a church music director.
Wow.
I directed a choir and stuff. That's what I did on Sundays and weekdays, funerals, weddings, all that stuff.
Wow.
But unfortunately, the church went through a merger, and I found myself on the outside looking in.
It wasn't due to your extracurricular musical activities as Thomas Christ?
Well, I don't know. I tried my best to keep those two worlds separate. Like they got rid of me, so I don't care now. But I was very careful to like not let anybody know, those two worlds needed to stay a little bit separate, just because, But it was cool because I was working as a musician. I was able to do what I love, and I had time to create, and I had time to do the things that I wanted to do. And now, really, I'm at a loss because I don't know what I'm gonna do next. So I'm trying to work on this YouTube thing, but that's not gonna go anywhere quickly. So, I'm still kind of figuring things out now, because I've been doing that for the last 10 years. So, but I came home like when I was 4 years old. I came home. We went to church every Sunday. I came home and I played the music from church that we just had gone to on a toy piano. And that's when my parents were like, "Oh yeah, he's, there's some talent there." So they took me for piano lessons, but I didn't want piano lessons. I was fascinated by the giant organ in the back of the church. Like that was the thing that was fascinating to me. And I think there's some, like, because I'm also into synthesizers, and I kind of look at the organ as like, basically it's a steampunk synthesizer. Like it was a synthesizer before you had transistors and diodes and tubes and things like that. You had, somebody thought to put together all these pipes and connect keyboards to it, and you can control different, sounds with different types of pipes and things. Like it's really crazy, but I love the different sounds that it can produce, and I still do.
Yeah, definitely. It's a beautiful instrument. Like it's totally organic, and synthesizers are amazing too. But to see an organ at the back of a church like that, it's breathtaking. And I'd kill to have a go on one of those, so I could play "Oh, Can You Wash Your Father's Shirt" on it. So I'm sure I'd get kicked out for doing that. So in the church, like I'm gathering you play like to sermons. So you've done sermons, I'm guessing on the Sundays and on one of those, yeah. Wow, man, that's got to be so cool.
Like I can play most of like the popular hymns I know off by heart. I can play most of them off the top of my head. So
was there ever a time where you wanted to like play a Thomas Christ song and just scoot it in there? No. Was there a chance for you to, like, when the place was empty, to try playing one of your songs on such a big organ? Yeah, I mean, I could do whatever, but I have on my PC back here, I have there's software that works with Java that and sound fonts that I can emulate all kinds of pipe organs, so I don't even need to be at the church to do things like thing. I don't know. I would want to play one of my whole songs on it. It's just
I can't say it never happened. It may have at some point.
I love it. So getting into the history of the name Thomas Christ, what's the story behind all of that?
So the story behind that was, and it's kind of not as maybe exciting as you would think, but when I was in high school, I went through a really bad breakup, and I started to write songs about that. And then what I've always tried to do is just create this, like, take ordinary events that happen and kind of build this mythology around them. So the idea was, like, my suffering is like I'm like Christ, because I've been through this horrible suffering, and so now, and I even have a song on Christ World called "Feel Like a Christ," which kind of goes through that. So you opened up the curtain, made it as plain as day. The world would grow to hate me, and you were the first to say, "You made me feel like a Christ, nailed me down and held me down and nailed me away. You made me feel like a Christ." I can't remember the last line, but yeah, that song basically sums it up, where that came from. But also it was this dichotomy between, like, the profane and the sacred. I kind of like that, just with my given name, but then just adding Christ to it. And also it was kind of blasphemous, so I thought that was cool.
I love it. Yeah, I've always been a fan of that that whole split side of things. There's a band called Carnivore, which later became, oh god, I can't think of, Pete Steele was, who's passed away now. I can't think of the band. They became Carnivore. God, the music was all about lesbians and stuff. But on their first album, Carnivore, they had a song called Jesus Hitler. And I just remember that being like, fuck, man, that is so insulting at the same time. But that whole pushing of buttons and you know, they had some pretty, just the lyrics. God, I'm trying to remember the lyrics to that song. Jesus, Hitler, Adolf Christ. Is this the second coming or the Third Reich? Oh my God. I was just like, whoa, man. Typo negative. Thank you very much. Amelia 13. Typo negative. Yeah. So.
That's my wife, by the way.
Thank you very much. I thought so.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah, legend. My brain not working.
But well, of course, and also like I was a big fan of, you know, probably no secret to anybody that I was a big fan of Marilyn Manson, and was you know, Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson. That's where that came from. So I'm sure there was a little bit of that in there too.
Yeah. Well, you know, I see, you know, you write that on your bio. It's definitely not the first artist I thought of. I don't know, when I heard your music. So probably only the hard edge guitars. Well, that's what reminds me. But everyone has hard edge guitars.
It depends on which album you're listening to, and because you know, I started out in the beginning, oddly enough. It was more new wave. Like I was into a lot of 80s stuff like New Order, and so I was doing that kind of a thing. And then I did the Disco Fever was the second album, which was kind of tongue in cheek, but it was like almost dance music. And then the third album was back to like this, but it's like new wave, but with an aggressive edge to it. And then I did Christ World, and that was the first time, like Christ World was the first one where I would say I really was like going for more of a Manson sound there. And that was when I got the BR8, so I was able to record in 8 tracks. So I was able to layer up guitars and things like that. So that was kind of the first time that came in, and that increased as time went on. But it's varied, you know. I try to mix it up a little bit.
Definitely. Russ in the chat asks, would you make a track just in iOS and not a PC?
I have done some.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've released any. I think there might have been like, I know there was a track that I released last September for Songtember that was done in Core Gadget, so that was on totally on iOS. I didn't have the MacBook at that time,
right?
So
yeah. How long have you had the MacBook for?
Just since I think it was this spring, yeah, around like March, April time. Once we went into lockdown, basically, because my wife had one. She wasn't using it, and it was in this room, and light bulb went off in my head. It was like, oh, there's a MacBook just sitting in there. I can like go and run GarageBand and see what that's like, because I was using it on iOS on the iPad. I was like, I wonder what this. I keep hearing about the MacBook version, how great it is. Let's try that, and I did that. You know, got the Logic trial, got into Logic, and never looked back. And you know what that's like.
So Pete, if I know Pete's probably dropping off the kids right now, but when you get back, Pete, keep plugging away, mate. It's not going to take too long, and you'll own the Mac, man.
That's what I said in the chat on his Q&A. I just said, you know, keep at it. Don't give up. Don't say like, well, one thing doesn't work, so I'm done. You know, he's had a particularly rough go of it.
Nothing
worked in terms of getting up and running, which is weird because usually the Mac. That's what I liked about Mac. I was like, oh, you just plug stuff in and it works.
M1.
Then I go from a PC where you constantly, you know, and things work, and then you shut the PC off and you turn it back on and it doesn't work, and then you got to dive in and figure out why the hell is it not working now.
Yeah, it's the M1 chip that's the issue. You know, that's all it is. And you know too, it's hard to, like, I sit there with Pete, we have chats about it back and forth through Messenger, but it's hard when you're like typing, going, oh man, no, look up the top. That's they're hidden up the top, man. You know, it's hard to troubleshoot that kind of stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons I actually started this channel, because I got sick of, not sick of, because I love answering questions and trying to help people. And in GarageBand users group and Create, Record, Release, I got sick of trying to type the answers. So I thought, fuck it, just make videos, and then it's easy. I can just click a link and go here. I've sorted it, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like what Pete's idea was behind doing like his home studio Q&A shows, and GarageBand Weekly and stuff. Because he gets, he tries to respond. He's really good. Maybe, and you are too, more than most YouTubers are about responding to like every comment. Because I think almost every time I've commented, Pete has responded, or every time I've commented, you've responded. So
no, I'm still a bit slack. It's hard. It cuts into my sleepy time. I'm getting better. But thank you. Bubba asks, do you like Bach?
Actually, see, that's a funny one. No, I'm not a Bach fan. Bach is really, really, really hard to play, and I think then it's boring. And a lot of like classical people they're probably raging right now. But like, just Bach's music, it's because it's not like, I think of music as like a melody and chords, and that's not Bach. Bach is like, there's one melody, and then there's another counter melody, and then there's another counter melody, and to try to play that, like on an organ, you're supposed to play like two melodies in your right hand, a melody in your left hand, and a melody in the pedals. So, and I always struggle with that. So I don't like Bach, and then the people listening to it, it just sounds like anything. So, no, I'm not really much of a Bach fan, actually.
So that's probably why I like Bach, because I like Mr. Bungle.
But he's brilliant, like his the math, if you know about like the mathematics behind like his music and how it all somehow like works out equal, some kind of mathematical equation. I've heard people say that part of it's really impressive, but yeah, as far as like performing it, especially, no.
Well, that's why we're all individuals. We all have individual tastes.
Yeah. And
I think that's probably why I like Bach, because it reminds me of Mr. Bungle, and I like things that are so complex it turns people off. I don't know why that is. Like if I see a lot of people going, "Ooh, I don't like it," I'm normally like, "Ooh, I better listen to that." If people don't like it, I'm in, man. Unless it's, I don't know, sure. That's a different story. So let's jump into talking about your music. Because you have been releasing music for a really, really long time, and you have a massive back catalogue of stuff. So when did you first start? So firstly, you've always created your music in your, like, a home studio, yeah?
Right. There was one exception where I went for a week to a like a rock and roll camp. Did you know the band Rusted Root?
No.
That ring a bell? Okay. They're a local band that kind of got big. That there was a lady named Liz Berlin who runs. We have a venue here, Mr. Small's. It's Mr. Small's Fun House, and there's a big. It's actually an old church that was turned into a music venue. And then up in one of like the old rectories, there's a recording studio. So she did like a thing where I paid money, and we went there for like a week every day, and she just taught us about making, rock and roll music, kind of a lot of the same kind of things that like you do and like Pete Johns does, but this was before all that. And then we had the opportunity to have a song recorded as part of that. So, but the thing was, like, I had started on a song and then it never got done, and I didn't go back and finish it. So I actually didn't ever complete that. But that was the only time I've ever been in like a real recording studio.
And so did you start on like hardware, like a 4-track, or was it straight into digital recording?
Well, everything that I did was at least recorded digitally, because when I started, I had this mixer that you're actually hearing me through right now over here. And then I just plugged a bunch of keyboards in and a microphone. And so like I would play, like, use the auto rhythms in the keyboard. And then I would play like chords on one keyboard and bass on like another keyboard. And then I had a headset with a microphone, and I would sing. I did it all at one time. And so that was like the first 3 albums. Although on the second album, I also used a Boss Doctor sample that I borrowed from Jeremiah, who I did the interview with the other day. Then when I got to my fourth album, Christ World, I got the Boss BR8, which is a digital 8-track that records the zip discs. So I used that for the next two albums, and then pretty much everything after that was recorded in some form or fashion on PC. At first, I was using a combination of FL Studio and Reaper, because I would do the synth parts and drums in FL Studio. I would bring that over into Reaper and then do the guitars and vocals. And then I ended up just doing things all in FL Studio. And that went on until this latest album where I've been in Logic. But
yeah, FL.
So that's kind of.
Did you FL Studio? Look, I have this really love-hate relationship with FL Studio. I remember when it first came out on PC. Mm-hmm. I loved it so much, and then it got so watered down, and I liked it when it was called Fruity Loops, because it was cool. Yeah. And these days I open it up on no matter what platform and just go, ugh. Oh, they've tried to simplify it so much. It's ugly, but that's.
Well, I still have over on the PC. I use FL Studio 10. I haven't gone beyond FL Studio 10.
Smart.
So I don't know. Like, I know I got 12 on there too, and they did some things with the plugins in 12 that I didn't like, where they had this whole like plugin library, and you had to put the plugins in some kind of plugin library instead of just bringing them in with a where you would use a context menu to bring them in. So I don't know. But it used to just be a sequencer. Yeah. That's all it was. It just sequenced samples and different virtual synths. And then they started to bring it started to become a full-fledged DAW, and it maybe isn't as intuitive, or it isn't, it's clear that it wasn't built to be a DAW originally, and then it's just kind of was like shoehorned in there. But I think with the way that I wrote music, I actually think it worked well, because I like working with, and I actually missed this in Logic, and I'm actually kind of considering getting just like a basic version of FL Studio for the Mac, just to do the drum programming and stuff, because I do like that sequencer environment.
Yeah, it's a good sequencer.
More than just working in a piano roll and clicking boxes. Like I think their sequencer is a little more full featured, and you can change pitch and panning and stuff. With little sliders associated with each step. I kind of like that. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you use what you can, use what you have, use what you can, use what works for you, because and that's what I used to love about FL Studio. Just the sequencer was the thing, and you're right. Like, it's like companies. I used to work for a company when I was young called Clark Rubber, and they sold pools and foam. And as time went on, they started selling furniture and television sets and all this shit. And then before you know it, they were bankrupt. And it's like, well, you had one job, sell foam and bloody pools, and you do that well, and you're good, mate, But as soon as, and I think that's the same with things like Fruity Loops, they tried to jump on the whole, when instead they could have stayed as a very niche, unique thing, and totally kept that. And I think losing the Fruity Loops name was a mistake. I like the name FL.
Well, people don't even realize that FL Studio. They don't even know what the FL stands for. If you came into it after they made that change, people are like, "What's Fruity Loops?"
Those young kids today, they don't understand Fruity Loops. Yeah. I can see Doug from the sound test room is here. Hi, Doug. Hey, Doug. Good to see you. Man, I've been really, while Doug's here, I've been really loving. He's done a couple of videos recently, just talking to the camera, and I've been really enjoying those videos. I love
Yeah, for the longest time, I didn't even know what Doug looked like. Shit. And then he finally started doing videos where you could see him. I was like, oh, that's cool. I
was going to say that in one of his chats the other day. For the longest time, I always tried to imagine what Doug looked like after seeing his hands. Yeah. For so many years, I watched him, and I was like, I wonder what he looked like. And then we saw him, I was like, my goodness, he looks better than what I thought. I had all these different images in my head that were totally wrong. Anyway, we're getting off the point there. And Doug's become the star of the show. Let's reel it in, Jade. What are you doing? So going over here to your I want to ask you about this because I find this intriguing. We live in a world where everybody is releasing their music through things like DistroKid and, you know, getting it on Spotify and all this stuff. And I find out that you pretty much only release your music on BandCamp, and I love BandCamp, right? What's the reasoning behind that? And, you know, are there plans to move across to the, you know, the big majors, or what's the deal?
Well, I don't know. I've been really torn about that, and I'll be honest with you. I almost signed up for DistroKid last night.
Wow.
I almost did it, and I'm probably going to do it within the next few weeks because, you know, now with my life situation being what it is, I need to be a little more serious about, you know, the financial aspect of this whole thing. Because I used to have an alternate source of financing, and I don't have that now. So, you know, maybe I should put my toe in the water and see, you know, how that works, and if that helps me out and gets me a little bit more publicity. I don't know if it will or not, but I'd certainly like to give it a try. But I always was enamored with the idea of just giving music away for free. I just kind of like that concept. I wish I could keep doing it, but I just don't think it's going to be financially viable for me to continue with that. I think I need to go corporate.
Well, in today's world of digital distribution, guess what, my friend? You are giving away your music for free because you won't be making much through Spotify and stuff. You know, the one, and how I, you know, really picked up on this, normally when I do these shows, you can hear I'm playing your music in the background, right? And I always play the music in the background. And what I normally do for the person who comes on, I'll leave their music playing in Apple Music for 24 hours after the show. So then when they check their DistroKid account the next time, or whoever they're with, they get this thing that pops up and says, somebody in Melbourne played your music 600 times. And today I looked at yours and was like, oh my God, I can't do that for you. What do I do? What do I do? But, you know, I'm not taking anything away from BandCamp because I love BandCamp. I think BandCamp is definitely a place, an alternative place for music that gets, especially extreme metal. Like that's my go-to for extreme metal because the artwork doesn't get censored like Apple and Spotify, and you can you really can control your creative output. So that's why I love BandCamp, and I found so many amazing artists on BandCamp that it's just ridiculous, way more than what you find through Apple Music and Spotify and all of those, because it's really geared to musicians.
Well, one of the things that I know is going to be a problem when I go to DistroKid is I have at least my Disco Fever album. There's no way I'll be able to put that on DistroKid because I just blatantly like sampled other music and used that as the background for a few songs. I know I sampled Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I sampled, believe it or not, I sampled Madonna. I sampled one of my favorite bands, actually, My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult. I took a short sample from them. So I know at least those songs won't be able to go on DistroKid, or it would be very complicated. It might be considered like a cover song or something.
Yeah, those are all things you have to consider with going to a digital distro. But, you know, I think what's good for someone like you has all these material to go for $19, for $20. You're just going to be able to upload these, you know, within a week of just bang, bang, bang. So for someone with a big back catalog, that's really cool. And if you aren't a user of DistroKid, I have a link in the description here that if you sign up with, you get 7% off. So always take advantage of getting a discount if you are signing up.
Yes.
So in relation to, because on your BandCamp, like you've released 16 albums, yeah?
Yeah. I don't have them all up there.
Yeah. Are you going to put them on there eventually? Is it just time constraints or not wanting to put them up?
Well, you know, there are things in the back catalog that maybe I don't like so much, so I don't put it up. But I've thought about that. I've also thought about making, like, there's a way on BandCamp where you can make your entire discography available for a fee. I've thought about doing that too. Maybe not have the full albums up there, but just you could get the whole discography if you want it.
Yeah, and you can add a discount price to it too.
That might be a possibility. But I think if I go to DistroKid, I'm gonna put everything there, at least except that one album. So you'll be able to get 15 albums.
So, well, you've been doing these live streams lately, and doing live shows, playing some of these albums. So, you know, and you've got those up as well too. If I just scoot back over to, where are we? Go back here. So as you can see, folks, Tom's been doing these live streams on his YouTube channel, performing full albums of all his back catalogue, and then putting the recordings. Am I right? So these are the recordings from those YouTube shows. No.
What they are, those are the studio tracks.
Right.
I make all the studio tracks, and that was an idea that I got from one of my favorite bands is a band called Angel Spit. They were actually originally from Sydney, Australia, and what they do, they've been well, it's actually just one guy, Carl Learmont is his name. He's been doing live streams, and they've been in association with these larger live streams of like goth and industrial music. But whenever he goes on, he releases all the songs that he plays that evening. So he just says, go to my BandCamp, here's all the songs that I played tonight, and you can have them for free. Yep. So I just wanted to, I like that model. I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that at least gives somebody like a sampling of like what you have.
Yeah, for sure. Scott asked Tom, I'm guessing your live shows, you've moved a bunch to Logic.
Yeah, the live shows, Logic is in the background of the live shows. I might also start using, and I'm talking to you right now through GarageBand Mac. So my vocals are running through, they're actually going down through the Boss ME70. They're going over into this Radio Shack SSM 1000 mixer, and then they're going into my Zoom U24 interface, and then they're going into GarageBand, and I have some like compressors and de-essers and things on there just to clean up the signal a little bit and make it even.
So I'm interested too. Like you've got quite a few keyboards there behind you. How many? What is the number there? Because I see, from what I can see in your background, is I can see 3, but I'm guessing there's probably more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6, and then the micro Korgs back there 7, and there's a little like almost like a toy keyboard, a Yamaha. So there's like 8. And there was one that I lost when my parents moved out of their old house and into the new one. There was a Casio that I have that I used on Children of Evil, my first album, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if my sister got it or if it got sold or what happened, but it disappeared.
Quite the collection. Yes.
Yeah. But they're all, other than the micro Korg, they're all like Casios. And Casio. Well, this is a Yamaha DJX.
I love that you have them active, ready to go.
Yeah.
It's like me. I've always got my drum kit turned on as well, so I can do a boom. I won't do it now because it's childish.
Yeah.
So you've got a new album that's just been released this year as well, which is what we're playing in the background here. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the production of VirusInfekt?
Sure. That one I started, I just kind of was like watching what was happening around me with disbelief, that this pandemic had happened. And then I'm here in the United States, and unfortunately the response in the United States to this virus initially was very little, and now it's non-existent. So I'm watching all this happen, and I just needed to, that provided fuel for the fire to kind of get this started again, because I had this project had been dormant for 5 years. I had been focusing on my work and not doing this really. I had been playing, like I said, I had been playing around a little bit with GarageBand, increasingly so, and kind of like, a little bit of the bug was getting in there, but I had some health issues I had to work through and things. And this is kind of like in that lockdown period where it was like, okay, I have a chance to do something here. I can't waste it. I need to make something. So I started out. I'd already got the MacBook going. So the first 2 tracks, I think it's New Paradigm of Fear and Viral Hit, I made in GarageBand on the Mac, and then I got Logic. and the rest of the album was made in Logic. I did bring those first 2 tracks into Logic for some final processing, and then I actually ended up, the whole album was actually mastered over on the PC, because on the PC I had a copy of, there is a plugin called Voxengo Elephant, and I just put him in YouTube. There's also a there's a Cager House Classic Reverb, which was a free reverb. I don't even think you can get it anymore. It was, one of those things on those free plugin websites. Yep. But I really like the way that sounds. Just a little bit of that reverb, and then you run it into Voxengo Elephant, which does magic as far as mastering goes. I don't know what it does. I don't know how it does it. It's just supposed to be a brick wall limiter, but it just makes things sound radio ready. Like, you just run it through there, you crank the gain up, and it sounds amazing. So I still haven't found. I was looking at some free plugins. There was a limiter number 6 was one of them, and then there was also the Loud Max plugin. Those are both free plugins that I was using in Logic, but they just couldn't quite do whatever it was that Elephant does. So if I can find something that does what Elephant does, that's why I was very interested in what FabFilters Pro L, because that's another one that they use in professional studios. So maybe that one can get close to what the Elephant does, but so far I haven't found anything yet. But the thing about Elephant is I would like to get it for the Mac, but it's like $100.
Yeah, money, man. I wish we could have it all. So you still haven't found what you're looking for. So I'm just going to play, even though this isn't a video clip, so I'm going to just throw into VirusInfekt right now, and you can get a drink if you need one. I'll grab a drink as well, so just mute your mic and we'll be back in a second, folks. So check out, this is VirusInfekt.
Circulating through the air, nowhere for us to run. This novel contamination renders useless bombs and guns. Seeping through crack and crevice, foils attempts to sanitize, forms one worldwide infection. Who dies and who survives? VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt, tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt, 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 tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt. Everything is changed and altered. Locked down and fastened shut. Zoomed in. No pants, DIY handcuffs. We're masked and locked for months now. Can't replace our dinner plates. Bank account drops into oblivion. Take us loving, we've read our things. VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt. Tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt. Tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt. Dropped on us like a missile, slowly exploding every day. Dispersing outward in a ripple, the life we once knew wiped away. VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt. Tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt. Tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt. Tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt, VirusInfekt. Tick, tick, boom. VirusInfekt.
Hell yeah. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
It was VirusInfekt by Thomas Christ. Oh, yeah. Man, I'm digging this album. It's really damn cool.
Thank you.
I suggest people get over to BandCamp and get yourself a copy. The link to all of Thomas Christ's music, as usual, social media, YouTube channel, all that is in the description. So make sure you go and get yourself some now.
I'm trying to get to 40 subscribers by the end of the month.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can't do it on YouTube.
Definitely, folks. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Let's get Thomas's numbers up, man. And you know, you do shows. So before we get into some apps, so you're doing live shows every. So it's Saturday my time. Is it Friday?
Saturday morning,
Yeah.
your time. Friday evening. I'm trying this week. I'm gonna do it a little early. I'm gonna do it at. I usually do it at 7:30 Eastern time. I'm gonna do it at 6 o'clock Eastern time this week, just to see. I hear you in the UK. It's late, so
Yeah.
I'll do it.
And
a
that's
little
what it's
early.
all about with the YouTube channel is, you know, experimenting and finding the things that work, you know, looking at those boring analytics. But,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm still trying to figure out what it all means. but-
yeah, look, and that'll all come as well. Look, and that's another reason why, and some advice I can give, which I didn't really talk about in the thing me and Pete did the other day, is networking on other people's channels, going and supporting other people's channels and getting in the chat and getting them involved without bombing them with your stuff either is another great way to get people to know who you are. Because, you know, as Pete always says on Studio Live Today, it's a two-way street. So, you know, and it's one of the reasons too, not only because you're here all the time, you've been an awesome supporter of my channel here, why I wanted you to have a moderator's hat in the chat, because you get to see like how the chat works as a moderator and not have to worry about your show, and it helps you with your channel as well. Like me throwing my hand in for
that's
Pete's
awesome.
channel really helped me get my channel off the ground, you know? So,
As a moderator, if you haven't hit like, you do it. give Jade
still
some likes.
working even though you're working.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so meta. Yeah.
it's 2020.
All right. So let's talk about some apps. Yeah. So I'm going to
Okay.
bring up the App Store here. And you can tell us about some of the apps that you use on iOS, and I'll bring them up and let's get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So even though I use Logic, I use the iPad and iPhone a lot for things. So I have a full list here. The first thing I'm going to mention, and this is one that may be interesting to some people, there's an app called X Display. XDISPLAY, all one word.
Cool. Go for it. What's it about?
And what this does is, so I had this issue where I'm trying to do these live streams, and I need to have 2 monitors, but I don't have another monitor. So what I found I could do is with this app, and at least it works with the MacBook, and I think it might work with PC also. What you can do, I don't think that's the right one. It looks different.
It's all in Chinese. XDDIS.
Oh, I see it. Like Splash
Top. There it is.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So this one I'm guessing. That one there. Oh yeah. Splash Top wireless display HD.
So what you can do is you can use this you can use your iPad as a second monitor for your MacBook, and I think it might also work for PC, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Right. So it's like Air Parrot kind of thing for who make Reflector. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
because you really, when you're doing live streams and you want to like share your screen, you need to have another monitor so you can run the stream out of that, and then you have your other screen open for Logic or whatever you're demonstrating.
And it's free too. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
And it just works over AirPlay.
Beautiful. There you go. Get on it, folks. It's free. It's free.
So I told you I have a couple here that you might not have heard of, but they're really useful.
I love it. I love new things that I don't know about. What else you got in your magic bag of tricks?
So another one I'm gonna. This is one I just found out about last night. I was mentioning it to you a little bit before the show. This one is called, all one word, photo layers.
Photo layers.
And what this does is, you've probably heard Pete Johns talk about in Canva, you can get rid of the background from a picture and make a transparent PNG.
Oh dear.
Well, but you have to pay, for Canva, you have to pay for a subscription. This does it for free.
Oh dear. Okay. Click.
So there's another one that might be useful.
Face not recognized.
Creating
what the hell?
Especially if you're doing thumbnails.
Sorry, I was trying to buy it. I'm trying to buy it now. And it says, your face is not recognized. What the hell? Is it because I'm wearing my glasses? There we go. I got it. Yeah, buy. Awesome. Because that is something that, I use Pixelmator.
Because I remember you were saying, you were saying the other day on one of Pete's streams how you wish that you use Over, that it doesn't do the background replacement.
Yeah, I use Pixelmator to do it, and then I open it up in Over. So I use both of them combined. So I'm always going back and forward to Over and Pixelmator. And another thing which you probably saw on my Patreon stream. So if you're not a Patreon as well, you can always come over and join Patreon at patreon.com/Jade Starr, I think it is. And join up there. We have these cool Patreon videos. You can sign up for $1, whatever. But yeah, so I always go from Pixelmator back to Over, back to Pixelmator and back. But I was able to sideload them into the Mac, and they both run full screen, which they shouldn't. And I have been using them on Mac every day. It's so good. So good. I love it.
I need to get that one, Pixelmator. I'll have to put that down.
Well, Pixelmator has a Mac version, which is really expensive. So
really?
I had to sideload it through iMazing. But, when you sideload apps, I've found from, your iPad over onto Mac, normally they don't go full screen. It's very rare they go full screen, but both Over and Pixelmator went full screen. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh, that's awesome.
So no wonder they haven't ported it as an iOS app, because they would be losing money. So now I feel terrible. So get onto that, folks. I just downloaded it. So if you want to remove backgrounds, that's the done deal. What else have you got for us?
Okay, so the next one is it's kind of like several apps in one, but they all kind of work together. So the main thing is Cord Gadget. I know you know about this.
I don't actually own it though, which is shocking. And
And then I use with Cord Gadget, I use there's module, there's IM1 and IMS20, which all the module gives you like some basic sounds, and then the other ones reproduce specific instruments. So you have one that reproduces the Korg M1, which is a famous digital keyboard, and then the IMS20 reproduces it's a really well-known synthesizer.
Yep. And I just showed IMS20. I'm just trying to find that. It's somewhere in there. But you can see the reason why I haven't purchased it, because it's $31 here, and you know, I don't have all the monies in the world. You know, I want it.
I'll say this: it's definitely worth it. And like this is another app too where there's a Mac version, and it's really not that much different from what I've seen from the iPad version, and it's like $300.
Yeah,
US.
for sure. I mean, and we are at that stage with apps, aren't we? That everything that's coming out on iOS now is virtually the same thing as what you're getting on Mac or PC, which, you know, and I know Pete's talked about this. I've talked about this on shows, and this all stemmed from this race to the bottom thing that went down years ago with iOS, when everybody was trying to release free apps, and slowly the apps are crawling back up to a you know, some people look at it and go, $30 is expensive. It's expensive for me because I buy a lot of apps. That's the only reason. It's not that it's an expensive app, but you know, $30 compared to, you know, $300. We are living in amazing times, blessed times for the exact same app, but on our little magical glass devices that we have.
Yeah.
You know, Korg have a massive, fantastic reputation. They always have, of making killer gear and software.
And a lot of these things are ports of, you know, they've had these, they actually call them, it's like the Legacy Collection. So they've ported like the whole Legacy Collection over into iOS. Like you get like the Wave Station and the M1 and a couple other ones that were based on that.
So get yourself some Korg, folks. Yeah.
Yep.
So what else have we got?
Okay, so next on the list, I'll give you this one. This is kind of a freebie because it's maybe obvious, but LumaFusion.
Yeah, it's hard to go past LumaFusion.
Now, because of the age of my MacBook Pro, I can't really do like video editing at all on this, because I sort of missed the boat with iMovie. Because you know the whole thing with Apple, you can buy, if you have the app already installed, you can get the old version of it if your machine doesn't support the new version. Well, unfortunately, this machine didn't already have iMovie installed for whatever reason, and the new version was already beyond the capability, you know, like it didn't support this. So I'm not able to even get iMovie. And in any other video app that I've looked at, you know, you need to have at least Mojave.
Yeah, right.
And I have High Sierra. So.
And for those.
So LumaFusion has come in handy.
Yeah, I've done heaps of videos on LumaFusion. So if you want to go back through my catalogue of shows, just do a search for how to app on iOS and LumaFusion, and you will find heaps of stuff. It is an incredible app that also, too, if you own or you're thinking about getting an M1 Mac, it runs on M1 Mac natively, so you don't have to sideload it or anything. And it's pretty damn good. It's not perfect because no apps coming from iOS going to the Mac yet are perfect, but it's so handy to be able to open a project on Mac from your iPad now. I mean, you know, the other thing that amazes me about this app, Tom, is that you can use this on iPhone. And
yeah, well, that's what I did. That the video that we watched at the beginning, right about now, I did that was all on iPhone. I didn't even do it on the iPad, because the iPad, I actually have the more storage space on the iPhone than I do on the iPad. So
the life of an iOS music creator, forever juggling space. Space invaders. Look, and using it on iPhone's really tough too. For you to do that, I commend you, because fitting all that stuff into the little iOS device, man, it's a juggle too, juggling through LumaFusion.
Yeah.
Definitely, because you got to find where all the menus are, and they're all completely different than using an iPad.
Yeah, it totally rearranges it on the iphone.
Yeah.
So probably the next one, which is related to this one, is an app called Hyperspective, HYPERSPEKTIV.
I've spelled that right. There it is. Hyperspective. I've got this too. It's on my iPad. Yeah.
Oh
this
wow,
is really
yeah.
cool.
So this one kind of gives you like crazy visuals, and you can actually hit. There's like a random button, and you can just hit it, and you get something you've never seen before. So it just keeps cycling through effects, and you can just go until you find something that fits what you need to do, and then you can save it. Now the saves I found out as I was making this last video are limited, and once you reach a certain number of saves, then you have to buy it. And it is a small monthly subscription. I think it's like $5.99 a month.
Premium
so,
$5.99.
So I ended up paying it.
Yeah, and things like this, the subscription, are worth it. If you're using it, if you're constantly using it, definitely it's the way to go. But it's not always the case. There are some apps I still continue to use as a subscription and pay it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not using it. Why the hell am I doing it? But then there's that fear in the back of your head that if I unsubscribe now, and I'll bet I need it next week. It's never happened though. So
Yeah.
but yes, I can recommend this. Don't pay any attention to the reviews here, because I remember looking at this. I actually was looking at it a few weeks ago because somebody else recommended it, and is it? But yeah, you've got all these people. I love these reviews where it says potential but a waste of time. This app could be so much. It's like, fuck you people, man. Your standards are so fucking high.
That I never even looked at the reviews that were in there, but I'm surprised to see that because it's awesome.
Lot of hateful crap that goes on in these reviews, people, and it's normally the free apps that get the most hate. It's like I paid nothing for this, and I'm going to complain about it. It's like an old person ringing the complaints department and saying, "Hello, I'd like to complain about the
a lot of Karens
about the complaints department."
I need to talk to the manager.
I want to complain. Is this a complaints department? Your complaints department is terrible. How meta is that? So get onto that, folks. What else do you have? Anything else in your bag of tricks?
All right. Now, people have heard me mention this one before. Bismarck BS16i.
Oh, yes. BS16i.
And this is just the thing
Bismarck.
that you need extra sounds. It's actually a sound font player. So there's this old, you have to kind of get into the history of like sound fonts. There were these sound cards by Creative, like these Sound Blaster sound cards. And to play general MIDI, you needed a sound font. So, and they were just the thing where their samples were loaded in there and it would make instruments out of them. And then you needed a sound font player to play the instruments. Well, this is a sound font player. You can find sound fonts all over the internet of all kinds of stuff, totally for free. And this app I think is like $7.99. Yeah, $7.99. And so then you can play all these sound fonts. But it comes with a pretty full sound font, which gives you most of the instruments you might generally need. So a lot of the things that are missing from GarageBand, notably, you can get through that.
Yeah, and so there's some in-app purchases there to make it a high-res synth and to get 128 polyphony. So, but for just paying the outright price, you do get a lot with this, from what I've been told. I actually think I've watched Doug do a show on this.
I'm sure Doug's covered it.
I'm sure nearly every.
But he's covered
every app I've seen. Started from watching Doug, so he's one of the inspirations of my channel as well. So
yeah,
definitely. Or anything else?
I'm gonna go with Photoshop Express. It's just PS Express.
Express. There it is. This is free too, isn't it?
There's a lot of.
Yeah.
I think so. There is a premium. There's a premium portion to it, but you don't need to buy that.
So that's like with anything. So that's a cloud. So paying for Adobe Cloud, but it is free to have an Adobe Cloud with not much space on it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's all you're really paying for, I think, with this. But this is awesome.
And I think just we'll give it like an honorable mention. Documents by Real.
Damn straight.
That's what I use. When I do my live shows, I have my lyrics. They're all in a folder on iCloud, and then I make little folders in that folder with the current song lyrics for that week's show. So then I just go into documents and I bring them up through there. They're all text files because I wrote all my lyrics on Notepad on the computer.
Yeah, I can't recommend this app enough. I've had this app probably since about 2012 or something like that. It's been around such a long time, and the rate that this app still is it free? I can't. Yeah, it's always been free, right? And they update it at least once every 1.5 to 2 weeks. It still gets updated. So as you can see here, version history updated a week ago. It is just absolutely one of my go-to apps for everything, for storing photos, it's got a music player in it. It's killer. I love this app so much.
Yeah.
Go for it.
And then I think the only other one I'm going to mention is, the simple things that you need as a musician. You might be looking for a metronome. So the one that I like is Metro Timer. All one word, Metro Timer.
Metro Timer.
And I've had this app forever.
Why is that not coming? Is that it there?
Yeah, I think that first one at the top on the right-hand side.
Here?
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, man. Everyone needs a metronome.
This one's pretty good because you can go in and program in like weird time signatures and things like that.
Looks fancy.
You can have lights that flash. Yeah.
And it's got good reviews too, which isn't always a good way to go, bub. Fantastic. It's awesome. I'm a drummer and you know what these things are great for, for people playing live as well, to have something like this. I've seen so many artists doing this these days who have their iPhone next to them, a drummer, and have their metronome as their phone with their little earbuds plugged in. That's just changed the whole music industry compared to, the old bulky things people would have to carry around with there, especially for a drummer. So get
Absolutely.
on it, folks. Is that it for your apps?
Get it. That's it.
Awesome. So we are at the end, and I am trying to condense the shows down a little bit from what they have been expanding out to, because I can let you folks know that I'm in the process now of moving all of the shows, all of the interview shows here on How to App on iOS, over to my new podcast channel. So hopefully by sometime next week, you'll be able to grab all of these interviews, and you're number 20. So thank you for being number 20.
Awesome. Get a nice round number.
Yeah, perfect. So you'll be able to download all these interviews with Pete Johns and with all the fantastic artists we've had on, Thomas Gillane, and there's so many. And you'll be able to listen to them as an audio podcast on Spotify and Apple Music, because I had some people complaining, saying that they go so long and not everybody has a premium YouTube account, so you can't keep your phone open, or that you want to listen to them when you're driving. So I'm going to move them all across. And I think the podcast is called How to App on iOS Creator Interviews, but I'll let you all know once that is up. So I'll hit you with the last question. And as Scott and Rock Heart Music have said here, thank you, Thomas, for those lovely app recommendations.
You are very welcome.
So I've already got two.
Hope
I've
they
got
help
two
you.
of them out of that, so thank you. And we'll hit with the last question that I ask everybody, and then we'll bang on into your last track and let everybody get on with their day.
Okay.
When's the best time, in your opinion, for somebody to start creating?
Right about now. No, right now. You got to do it. Well, I mean, after the podcast, after the video's over, but
Do it.
do it.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah. I think people are getting better at it. I'm seeing more and more people just diving in and not being so worried about it. I think maybe because there's more YouTube channels, more groups of people saying this very thing. And I ask the same question every week on this show, and it kind of seems a bit redundant asking it. But the reason I do ask it is just to drive it home. That
I always wait. I always wait to see what they're gonna say, and the answer should be right now. That's the answer. I have it.
I'm waiting for somebody to go, never. Just the total anarchist to do that. But apparently we're interrupting Russ right now, so that's a good thing, you know.
Sorry about that.
And it's good to take a break too, you know. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket and just continually be creating. Play some Grand Theft Auto every now and again, or some Cyberpunk 20. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I've just downloaded it and haven't started it yet. Very excited. So let me just get up the last track here. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people on the video, people in the chat? While I'm searching for this video, you can have the floor, my friend.
Well, I'll just say, goodness gracious, too many of you to thank, but thank all of you. You know, it's been so great to chat. It's amazing. Like I'm here and I'm talking with people in Australia. I'm talking with people in the UK. I'm talking with people in Canada. I mean, even last year, if you would have told me that's what I'd be doing right now, I would have said you're crazy. No, that's not going to happen. But here we are. So, but all of your support and all of you, you know, so many of you make awesome music, and I just love listening to it. I'm inspired by it. Pete Johns, especially, you know, everything he does, and of course Jade. It's just been a great inspiration for me, and I hope I can support you the way you've supported me. But just thank you. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, my friend. So if you haven't already, check the description. All of Thomas Christ's music is there. Go and subscribe to his YouTube channel because he's doing a live stream tomorrow, and come and join us there because we want more people to come and join in the fun because they're great shows. Tom explains history about the songs and all that kind of stuff, so it's a story as well. And before you all go and get excited to leave, I haven't forgotten, all right? I haven't forgotten. So we're going to give away these apps. We've got what are we giving away? We're giving away AU3FX Space. So we've got 3 copies to give away. So 20 people entered, and there's all the names there, so you all know. And we're going to hit generate and just get it done. Number 11, which is Spider National. So, you know, I was thinking when I wrote this up last night, Spider Midas, there you go. I'm like, damn, I'll bet that comes up first and I have to say that.
Congrats.
Well done. So we'll generate the next one. So congratulations. The next person is number 6, which is Chris Woodrow. So we'll put a little star next to you. Congrats, Chris. And the last one is number 14 is Colin Munro. So congratulations, Colin.
Way to go, Colin.
What I will do, I'll put a little post-it at the top of this video, and I will go back to the video where we ran the competition and put a post-it there. And I always message each individual winner with my email address, so you can email me and I can send you the code for those particular apps. Before we jump into the song, I'll let you know that we've got a big week of apps coming up next week with a whole lot more giveaways. So make sure you are watching. Got to be in it to win it. Lots of cool apps next week. Too many apps for me to get my head around at the moment. It's crazy. So let's end the show, and we're going to wrap it up with another track. Now, this is on the new album, yeah? Or am I wrong here? No, it is, yes. Pandemic.
Yeah, no, this is from VirusInfekt. Yeah. And this was also my song Timber song.
So this is Pandemic, Panic. And get ready, folks, because it's a banging tune. Absolutely banging. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Thomas. It's been...
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
So hang around on the on the call too. So once the show's finished, we'll have a debrief, and I'll bring my cat in and shave its hair off for you. I'll do that for everybody. All right, now I'm getting ridiculous. All right, folks, thank you all for being here as well. Love you all. Thanks for your support. Remember to check out howtoapp.ios.com. Subscribe, like, all that fancy stuff, and we'll see you on the weekend, yeah, because I'm probably doing a special show. Yeah, Take care, folks. Adios, amigos.
Exercise good hygiene. I wash my hands with kerosene. It's a pandemic panic, it's infectious. Pandemic panic, pulse H plexus. Pandemic panic, nitrobiology. Pandemic panic, psychopathology. Pandemic panic, it's infectious. Pandemic panic, pulse H plexus. Pandemic panic, nitrobiology. Pandemic panic, psychopathology. Hanging out at the testing facility. Masking my ability. Inoculate hostility. With clinical utility. Diagnose my desire. Sterilize with burning fire. Wipe me clean with alcohol. You better medicate us all. It's a pandemic panic, it's infectious. Pandemic panic, pulse H plexus. Pandemic panic, nitrobiology. Pandemic panic, psychopathology. Pandemic panic, it's infectious. Pandemic panic, pulse H plexus. Pandemic panic, nitrobiology. Pandemic panic, psychopathology. Medical record spinning in a clockwise direction. Bring me the ball, gonna need an injection. I've got something of insurance, never would cover. Catch the panic like a kiss from an invisible lover. It's pandemic panic. It's pandemic panic. It's pandemic panic. It's pandemic panic. It's a pandemic panic, it's infectious. Pandemic panic, pulse H plexus. Pandemic panic, nitrobiology. Pandemic panic, psychopathology. Pandemic panic, it's infectious. Pandemic panic, pulse H plexus. Pandemic panic, nitrobiology. Pandemic panic, psychopathology.